I pushed the door open and said, "We need to talk," but my voice died in the air. No answer. Just quiet. I stepped inside and frowned. "Lena?" She didn't respond. I dropped my keys on the counter and noticed the paper on the table. White. Flat. Neat. Too neat. I walked closer and said, "What's this?" even though no one had answered me yet. I picked it up. I read the first line. Then the second. My name wasn't there. I laughed once, sharp and confused. Okay. Very funny. Still nothing. I read it again. Slower. I traced the lines with my finger. Tenant, Lena Morales. That was it. One name. Not mine. Not ours. I said, "This is wrong," out loud, like the paper could hear me. That's when Lena spoke from behind me. "It's not wrong." I turned. She was standing near the hallway, arms crossed, face calm like she'd been waiting. Rachel stood behind her, leaning on the wall, pretending to check her phone. I held the paper up. "Why isn't my name on this?" Lena said, "Because it doesn't need to be." I laughed again, but my chest felt tight. "We're both on the lease. We signed it together." She shrugged. "Not anymore." I stared at her. "What do you mean, not anymore?" She walked forward slowly. "I had it updated." My hands shook. "Updated how?" "I removed your name." I blinked. "You can't do that." Rachel let out a small breath, almost a laugh. I turned toward her. "Why are you here?" She raised her hands. "I'm just supporting my friend." I looked back at Lena. "Tell me this is a joke." She said, "It's not." I swallowed. "When did this happen?" "A week ago." "A week?" My voice cracked. "You did this a week ago?" "Yes." "And you didn't think to tell me?" She tilted her head. "I didn't know how." I stepped closer. "You didn't know how to tell me you were kicking me out of my own home?" She sighed. "Don't make it dramatic." I laughed, louder now. "Don't make it dramatic?" "My name is gone." She said, "You're overreacting." I shook the paper. "This says I don't live here." She nodded. "That's correct." My heart started pounding. "Where am I supposed to go?" "That's not my problem anymore." Rachel looked away. I said, "We've been together for 3 years." Lena said, "And? And this is how you end it?" She shrugged again. "It's cleaner this way." I felt heat rise in my face. "Cleaner for who?" "For me." I took a step back. "Did the landlord know?" "Yes." "When?" "When I asked her to update the lease." "You just asked?" I explained the situation. "What situation?" She crossed her arms tighter. "That you were unstable." I froze. "What did you say?" Rachel shifted. I whispered, "You told her I was unstable?" Lena said, "I told her you'd been acting unpredictable." "That's a lie." She shrugged. "That's your opinion." I pulled my phone out. "I'm calling her." "You don't need to." I tapped the screen anyway. My hands felt numb. I opened my email and saw it before I even searched. From property management. I opened it. I read it once. Then again. I said, "She already approved it." Lena nodded. "Yes." I looked up. So that's it? That's it. No discussion? We're discussing it now. No warning? I didn't want to fight. I laughed bitterly. So you erased me instead. She didn't answer. I looked at Rachel. Did you know about this? Rachel hesitated. She told me yesterday. I nodded slowly. Of course she did. Lena said, you can take your things. When? Now. I said, you planned this. She didn't deny it. I looked around the apartment. Every bill I paid. Every repair I did. Every night I slept here. She said, I'm not saying you didn't contribute. Then why do this? She sighed. I needed space. So you removed my name from the lease? Yes. That's not space. That's execution. Rachel sucked in a breath. Lena frowned. Stop being dramatic. I said, you didn't just break up with me. She said, yes, I did. No. You erased me. She looked away. I felt something heavy drop in my chest. How long have you wanted this? She hesitated. A while. How long is a while? Months. I nodded. So every time you said you loved me? She stayed silent. Every time you said we were okay? She said, I meant it then. But not now. No. I folded the paper carefully and set it down. You already decided. Yes. Rachel cleared her throat. I picked up my backpack from the floor. I'm not begging. Lena looked surprised. Good. I said, but you should know something. She raised an eyebrow. What? You didn't just end this. She scoffed. What does that mean? I zipped the bag slowly. It means I trusted you. She rolled her eyes. And now I don't. She said, you'll get over it. I slung the backpack over my shoulder. Maybe. Rachel watched me closely. I walked toward the door, then stopped. One last thing. Lena sighed. What now? You should have talked to me. She said, it wouldn't have changed anything. I nodded. You're probably right. I opened the door. But it changed me. She didn't reply. I stepped into the hallway and pulled the door shut behind me. The click echoed louder than it should have. I stood there for a moment, staring at the door, feeling empty and sharp at the same time. I thought I was coming home to talk. Instead, I was erased. I sat in the driver's seat and said, this isn't real, even though no one was there to hear me. The car smelled like old coffee and heat. I leaned my head back and stared at the roof. I'll go back in a minute, I told myself. She'll calm down. My phone buzzed. I grabbed it fast. Yeah? Nothing. Just a notification. I laughed under my breath. Figures. I checked the time. 11:47 p.m. I said, okay. One night. I drove aimlessly, windows down, music off. My thoughts were loud enough. I parked behind a closed grocery store and cut the engine. I whispered, I really don't live anywhere now. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a call. Marcus, I said quickly. He asked, where are you? In my car. There was a pause. Why? I got kicked out. What do you mean kicked out? She removed my name from the lease. He said, that's illegal. I know. Where are you sleeping? I hesitated. I don't know yet. Give me your location. I don't want to be a problem. Too late. Send it. I sighed. Fine. 10 minutes later, he pulled up beside me. He rolled his window down and said, "You look like hell." I forced a smile. Good to see you too. Get in my car. I don't want to leave my. Get in. I did. As we drove, he said, "Explain everything." She planned it, I said. She waited until she was done with me. Marcus tightened his grip on the wheel. That's cold. She told the landlord I was unstable. He swore. That's dangerous. I know. We reached his place. He handed me a blanket and said, "Couch is yours." I said, "Thank you." He nodded. Sleep. I didn't. The next morning, I sat at his kitchen table staring into a mug I hadn't touched. Marcus said, "You going to drink that?" No. You sure? I don't want to feel anything right now. He sat across from me. What's your plan? I don't have one. You need one. I shrugged. I just need time. He leaned forward. Time won't fix betrayal. I didn't answer. My phone buzzed. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Her? No. I read the message. Tina, are you okay? I typed back, I'm fine. Marcus scoffed. You're not. I locked my phone. I don't want pity. Then don't lie. I stood up. I need clothes. You're not going back there alone. I don't need backup. Yes, you do. When we arrived, Lena wasn't home. Marcus said, "Get what you need." I walked inside and said, "I used to belong here." Marcus stayed quiet. Rachel's shoes were by the door. I laughed. Of course. I grabbed a bag and started stuffing it. Marcus said, "Take more." I don't want reminders. I heard footsteps. Lena froze when she saw us. Why is he here? Marcus said, "Because you're not intimidating him." She crossed her arms. You're trespassing. I said, "I still have possessions here." She rolled her eyes. I said, "You didn't waste time, did you?" What does that mean? Rachel's shoes. She said, "Don't start." I'm not. I'm done. Rachel appeared behind her. This is awkward. I laughed. You think? Marcus said, "We're leaving." Lena said, "Good." As I walked out, I said, "You know what hurts?" She didn't respond. Not losing you. She turned. Realizing how little I mattered. Her jaw tightened. We drove away. Back at Marcus's place, I scrolled social media. Lena smiling. Lena redecorating. Lena captioned "New beginnings." I threw my phone down. She's acting like I never existed. Marcus said, "People rewrite history when they're guilty." I was erased. He nodded. Then write yourself back in. That night, I lay on the couch staring at the ceiling. I whispered, I trusted her. No answer. I whispered again, I gave her everything. Still nothing. That's when something changed. The pain stopped screaming. It started thinking. I said quietly, "She thinks I'm gone." The thought settled in my chest. I smiled for the first time since the lease. She has no idea, I whispered, what she just woke up. I sat across from Marcus at the small table and said, I don't want advice. He pushed a box of takeout toward me. Then don't ask for it. I didn't. You don't have to, he said. Your face does it for you. I poked at the food and said, I'm not hungry. You haven't eaten since yesterday. I'm still breathing. He sighed. Barely. My phone buzzed on the table. Marcus glanced at it. Her again? No, I said, picking it up. Tina. He frowned. What does she want? I don't know. I answered the call. Hey. Tina said, you okay? I'm fine. She paused. You don't sound fine. I said I'm fine. Marcus mouthed, liar. Tina lowered her voice. Can we talk? About what? She hesitated. About what Lena did. My stomach tightened. She already did it. I know, Tina said. That's why I'm calling. Marcus leaned closer. I said, say what you're trying to say. There was a long pause. Then Tina said, she didn't remove your name because of rent. I sat up. What? She told people that, but that wasn't the reason. I felt heat crawl up my neck. Then what was it? Another pause. Control. I laughed once. That's not an answer. It is, Tina said. She wanted you out before Evan moved in. My chest went tight. Evan? Marcus swore under his breath. I said, the guy she told me not to worry about? Yes. When? He's been staying there already. I closed my eyes. How long? A month. I pressed my fingers into my temple. She looked me in the face every day. I know. And lied. Yes. I opened my eyes. Did she tell you to keep this from me? Tina whispered, yes. Marcus shook his head slowly. I said, why tell me now? Because what she did wasn't just wrong, Tina said. It was illegal. That word hit different. Illegal how? She forged the timing, Tina said. She told the landlord you left weeks earlier. My stomach dropped. That's not true. I know, Tina said. I was there the night she filled out the forms. Marcus leaned back. She planned this. I said, she told them I was unstable. Yes. My hands started shaking. She destroyed me on paper. She tried to, Tina said. I exhaled slowly. Why didn't you stop her? I tried, Tina said. She said you'd explode if you found out. Marcus scoffed. I said, did you believe her? No, Tina said. But I was scared of losing her. I nodded. Everyone was scared of her. There was silence. Tina said, I'm sorry. I said, sorry doesn't undo anything. I know. I ended the call and set the phone down carefully. Marcus stared at me. You okay? I laughed, but it sounded empty. No. He said, but you're thinking. I nodded. Yeah. He leaned forward. What are you thinking? I'm thinking she didn't just break my heart. Marcus waited. She committed fraud. He raised his eyebrows. That's serious. I know. He said, you could sue her. I know. You could expose her. I know. He watched me closely. So what are you going to do? I leaned back and said, nothing. He blinked. Nothing? Not yet. That's not like you. I'm not like me anymore. He studied my face. You're calm. I'm focused. That night, I lay on the couch scrolling through tenant law articles. I whispered, "You can't remove someone without notice." Marcus called from his room. "You're not sleeping, are you?" "No." "Good," he said. "Sleep is for people without plans." I smiled faintly. The next day, I met Tina at a coffee shop. She said, "You look different." "Different how?" "Quieter." I said, "Quiet is safer." She nodded. "Lena's been bragging." "About what?" "About how clean everything is now." I laughed. "She thinks she won." Tina lowered her voice. "She thinks you're broken." I stirred my coffee. "Let her." She leaned in. "What are you going to do?" "Listen." "To what?" "To her mistakes." Tina frowned. "You're scaring me." "I'm not angry," I said. "That's the scary part." She swallowed. I stood up. "Thank you for telling me the truth." "I should have done it sooner." "Yes," I said. "You should have." That night, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I answered. "Hello?" A woman said, "This is Mrs. Donnelly from Property Management." My heart slowed instead of racing. "Yes?" She cleared her throat. "We've received a complaint." I said, "About me?" "No," she said. "About the lease change." I closed my eyes. "I see. There are inconsistencies," she said. "I believe that," I replied calmly. She paused. "Would you be willing to answer some questions?" "Yes," I said. After the call ended, Marcus walked in. "Who was that?" "The landlord." He whistled. "That was fast." I said, "Truth travels when lies get lazy." He smiled. "You're not begging anymore." "No," I said. "What are you doing then?" I looked at my phone and said, "I'm letting her talk." That night, I stared at the ceiling and whispered, "She thought removing my name would end me." The thought settled deep. I whispered again, "She didn't realize it gave me clarity." For the first time, I slept. I stared at my phone and said, "She's going to text." Marcus leaned against the counter. "How do you know?" "Because silence makes her uncomfortable." Right on cue, my phone buzzed. Marcus nodded. "There it is." I didn't pick it up. He asked, "You going to read it?" "In a minute." Another buzz. Then another. I finally looked. "Hey. Just checking in. Are you okay?" I laughed softly. "She really thinks that works." Marcus crossed his arms. "You answering?" "Yes," I said. "But not how she expects." I typed slowly. "I'm fine." Nothing else. No question. No emotion. The reply came fast. "That's good." I was worried. I showed Marcus. He shook his head. "That's not worry." "No," I said. "That's guilt looking for comfort." I typed again. "You don't need to worry." 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. "I just wanted to make sure you weren't mad." I felt my jaw tighten. She still thinks my feelings are the problem. Marcus said, "She wants permission." For what? To move on without consequences. I typed. "I'm not mad." That wasn't a lie. Anger takes energy. I was done spending it on her. She replied, "Can we talk later?" I set the phone down. No. Marcus raised an eyebrow. I typed. There's nothing to talk about. The dots stayed longer this time. I think you're taking this harder than you admit. I laughed out loud. Wow. Marcus said, she's projecting. I typed. I'm taking it exactly as it is. Minutes passed. No reply. Marcus smiled. That bothered her. She's not used to me not explaining myself. He nodded. You trained her to expect it. That hit harder than I wanted. Later that afternoon, Marcus said, I want you to meet someone. Who? A guy named Caleb. I frowned. A friend? Legal clerk. I sat up. You didn't tell him, did you? Only what mattered. I sighed. I didn't ask for legal help. You didn't need to, Marcus said. You need clarity. We met Caleb at a quiet diner. He shook my hand and said, I'm sorry this happened to you. I said, everyone keeps saying that. He nodded. Because it's true. I asked, how bad is it? He didn't hesitate. Bad for her. I leaned back. Explain. He said, removing a tenant without notice, falsifying timelines, misrepresentation to property management. Marcus added, he looked it up. Caleb said, you could file a civil case. I don't want to destroy her. Caleb studied me. Then don't. What happens if I do nothing? He shrugged. Then her lies stay hidden. I tapped the table. What if I just tell the truth? Caleb smiled slightly. Then the system does the rest. I looked at Marcus. I don't want drama. Marcus said, you want balance. Yes. Caleb said, then document everything. That night, I organized screenshots, emails, dates. I didn't feel angry. I felt steady. My phone buzzed again. Why are you being distant? I read it twice. Marcus asked, you answering? Yes. I typed. I'm not distant. I'm done explaining myself. The reply came slower. I think you're punishing me. I shook my head. She really doesn't get it. I typed. I'm not punishing you. I'm choosing peace. No reply. The next day, Lena posted another photo. New couch. New smile. Caption, fresh starts feel good. Marcus glanced at my phone. She's loud. She always is when she's insecure. She wants you to react. I won't. Later, Tina texted me. She's acting weird. I replied, not my concern. She keeps checking her phone. I smiled. Let her. That evening, Caleb called. Property management scheduled an internal review. I said, did you file something? No, he said. Someone else did. Marcus laughed. I said, so it started. Yes, Caleb said. Quietly. After the call, Marcus said, you're not chasing her. No. You're not begging. No. So what are you doing? I thought for a moment. I'm reclaiming myself. That night, Lena finally called. I let it ring twice before answering. Hello? Her voice sounded tight. Why won't you talk to me? I said, I am talking. No, you're not. I'm just not reassuring you. She exhaled sharply. You're being cruel. I stayed calm. No. I'm being honest. You're acting like I'm the villain. You removed my name from my home. She snapped. I did what I had to do. So did I said. What did you do? I stopped begging. Silence. I continued, you don't get access to me anymore. That's not fair. I laughed quietly. Neither was erasing me. She whispered, you've changed. Yes, I said. And you caused it. I ended the call. Marcus looked at me. You okay? Yes. You sure? For the first time. I lay on the couch that night and realized something important. I wasn't waiting for her anymore. I wasn't hoping she'd apologize. I wasn't dreaming of closure. I had already stepped out of the role she wrote for me. I whispered into the quiet, she thought removing my name would make me disappear. I smiled faintly. It just taught me how to stand alone. I said, she's starting to panic, as I scrolled through my phone. Marcus looked up from his laptop. What makes you say that? She hasn't posted anything today. He smirked. That's your proof? Yes, I said. When she goes quiet, it means something slipped. My phone buzzed. Marcus nodded. Speak of the devil. It wasn't Lena. It was an email. From property management. I opened it slowly and said, they want a timeline. Marcus leaned closer. Of what? Of when I moved out. He laughed once. You didn't. Exactly. I typed back carefully, sticking to facts. No emotion. No insults. Just dates, receipts, and screenshots. Marcus watched me and said, you're calm. I wasn't always, I replied. Yeah, he said. That's what scares me. Later that day, Tina called. I answered and said, what's wrong? She whispered, Lena's freaking out. About what? She got an email asking for proof you moved out early. I leaned back. And? And she doesn't have it. I closed my eyes. That's unfortunate. Tina said, she's asking people to lie. My jaw tightened. Who? Rachel. Evan. Even me. And what did you say? I said no. Good, I said. Tina hesitated. She's blaming you. I laughed softly. She always does. That evening, Marcus said, you should come with me tomorrow. Where? To the property office. I didn't ask for a meeting. They did, he said, turning his screen toward me. My name was on the email thread. I swallowed. So it's official. Marcus nodded. This is where paper beats personality. The next morning, we sat across from Mrs. Donnelly. She folded her hands and said, thank you for coming. I nodded. I appreciate the opportunity. She raised an eyebrow slightly. Opportunity? To clarify, I said. She glanced at her notes. Ms. Morales claimed you vacated the apartment on May 10th. I said, that's false. She looked up. Do you have proof? Yes, I said, sliding my phone across the table. Marcus added, utilities, messages, and delivery receipts. Mrs. Donnelly studied the screen. You were still living there? Yes. She sighed. She said you abandoned the lease. I was erased from it, I replied. Her lips pressed together. That's serious. I know. She looked at me. Why didn't you contact us sooner? Because I didn't know she'd already contacted you, I said. Mrs. Donnelly nodded slowly. There were inconsistencies. Marcus leaned back. She continued, we've scheduled an inspection. I asked, when? Tomorrow. I smiled politely. That's quick. Yes, she said. We prefer transparency. When we left, Marcus clapped me on the shoulder. That went well. I didn't say anything special. You didn't have to, he said. The truth did the talking. That night, my phone rang. Lena's name lit up the screen. Marcus said, you don't have to answer. I know, I replied, answering anyway. Hello? Her voice was sharp. What did you tell them? I said calmly, the truth. You went behind my back. You went behind mine first. That inspection is your fault. No, I said. It's the result of your choices. She scoffed. You're enjoying this. I shook my head. I'm detached. You're trying to ruin me. I'm not trying anything. She raised her voice. They're asking questions. Yes, I said. That's what happens when stories don't match. There was a long pause. She said, you could make this stop. I laughed quietly. How? By telling them you left earlier. I felt something cold settle in my chest. You want me to lie? You owe me that, she snapped. I don't owe you anything. She lowered her voice. You're being vindictive. No, I said. I'm being accurate. She whispered, you're doing this on purpose. I replied, I'm doing nothing at all. I hung up. Marcus stared at me. She asked you to lie. Yes. That's desperate. So is fraud, I said. The next day, Tina texted me. Inspection didn't go well. I replied, I'm sure. They found Evan's stuff. I smiled faintly. Marcus asked, what now? Now we wait. That afternoon, Caleb called. They're reviewing the lease change. I said, what does that mean? It means consequences, he replied. I sat quietly after the call. Marcus said, you okay? Yes. You don't sound excited. I'm not, I said. This isn't revenge. Then what is it? Correction. That night, Lena sent a long message. Paragraphs. Apologies mixed with excuses. I didn't reply. I stared at the screen and realized something important. She wasn't sorry for erasing me. She was scared of the mess she made. I locked my phone and said out loud, she thought paper would protect her. Marcus looked up. I continued, she forgot paper keeps records. I lay back on the couch and felt calm settle in. Not relief. Not joy. Just certainty. I whispered into the quiet, once lies are written down, they don't disappear. And for the first time, I knew she couldn't rewrite this ending. I said, she's going to call today, while tying my shoes. Marcus looked up from the couch. You're psychic now. No, I said. She's cornered. My phone buzzed before I finished the knot. Marcus pointed. Told you. I stared at the screen. Lena. I didn't answer. It rang again. Then again. Finally, a text came through. Please. I really need to talk. Marcus asked, "You going to?" "Yes," I said. "But not on her terms." I waited 5 minutes before calling back. She answered instantly. "Why didn't you pick up?" I said, "I was busy." "With what?" "Living." She exhaled sharply. "This isn't funny." "I'm not joking." Her voice softened. "They're asking questions at work." I leaned against the wall. "About what?" "About my honesty." I said, "That sounds serious." "You told them something," she snapped. I told the truth. "You didn't have to." "Yes," I said. "I did." She went quiet. Then she said, "Rachel won't answer my calls." I stayed silent. "Tina won't either," she added. I said, "That happens." "When?" "When people realize they were used." She raised her voice. "You're enjoying this?" "No," I replied calmly. "I'm observing it." She laughed bitterly. "You always talk like you're above everything." "I wasn't," I said. "You made me." She scoffed. "I didn't make you anything. You removed my name from my home." "I was protecting myself." "By destroying me," I said. Silence filled the line. Then she whispered, "I didn't think it would go this far." "That's the problem," I said. "You didn't think." She started crying. Real crying this time. I closed my eyes. "What do you want from me?" "I need help," she said. "With what?" "With fixing this." I laughed softly. "You want me to save you from yourself?" "I wouldn't ask if I had another option. That's not my responsibility anymore." She sniffed. "You're really done?" "Yes." She whispered, "After everything?" "Because of everything." I ended the call. Marcus stared at me. That was heavy. "Yes." "You okay?" "I'm steady." Later that day, Tina finally called me back. She said, "Lena's losing it." I replied, "I know." She showed up at my place crying. I rubbed my forehead. "What did she say?" "That she thought you'd break." I froze. "She said that?" "Yes," Tina said. "She thought removing your name would make you beg." My chest tightened. "Did you tell her anything?" "I told her she underestimated you." I nodded. "Thank you." That evening, Marcus and I sat quietly. He said, "You look lighter." "I am." "Why?" "Because I finally see her clearly." My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I answered. "Hello?" A man said, "This is Officer Blake." I straightened. "Yes?" "We're following up on a report filed earlier this year." My heart slowed. "By who?" "Ms. Morales." I closed my eyes. "What kind of report?" "A statement regarding domestic instability." I felt anger flicker, then fade. "I never harmed her." "We're aware," he said. "There are discrepancies." "I can imagine." "We just need clarification," Officer Blake continued. "I'm happy to cooperate." After the call, Marcus asked, "Police?" "Yes." "Are you worried?" "No," I said honestly. "I'm relieved." The next day, Lena left a voicemail. Her voice sounded tired. I didn't think anyone would question me. I deleted it. Another voicemail came in. I didn't know it would come back on me. Deleted. Marcus watched quietly. You're not listening. I already heard enough. That afternoon, Caleb called. Her employer contacted property management, he said. Why? Background review. I let out a slow breath. So it's spreading. Yes, Caleb said. And she's panicking. That night, Lena texted me one last time. I never meant to hurt you this badly. I stared at the screen. Marcus asked, what does she want? Forgiveness, I said. And relief. I typed back slowly. Intent doesn't erase damage. 3 dots appeared. Then vanished. She replied. I wish I could go back. I wrote, so do I. That was it. I put the phone down and felt something release inside me. Marcus said, you didn't gloat. No. You didn't attack. No. So what did you do? I closed the door. That night, I lay on the couch thinking about the moment she erased my name. I remembered how small I felt. How disposable. I whispered, she thought she ended me. The room stayed quiet. I whispered again, she just started my rebuild. For the first time, her downfall didn't feel personal. It felt inevitable. And I finally understood something important. When someone tries to destroy you quietly, the loudest response is survival. I stood in the middle of the empty apartment and said, this is mine, even though no one was there to hear it. Marcus leaned against the doorway. It's small. It's quiet, I replied. He smiled. That's better. I set my backpack down and looked around. White walls. Clean floor. No memories trying to trap me. I exhaled and said, I didn't realize how loud my old place was. Marcus nodded. Peace feels strange at first. My phone buzzed on the counter. I didn't touch it. Marcus glanced at it. Her? Yes. You want to know what she says? No, I said. I want to know what I feel. And? Stable. He clapped me on the shoulder. I'll let you unpack. After he left, I sat on the floor and laughed quietly. She would hate this, I said. No throw pillows. No fake plants. My phone buzzed again. This time I picked it up. They terminated the lease, Tina texted. I read it twice. She has to move out by the end of the month. I typed back, I hope she finds somewhere safe. Tina replied, you're nicer than I expected. I set the phone down and stared at the wall. I didn't feel joy. I felt distance. Later that night, Lena called. I answered after the 3rd ring. Hello. Her voice sounded thin. They're ending the lease. I heard. You did this. No, I said. I didn't. If you hadn't talked to them. I told the truth, I interrupted. She laughed bitterly. You always hide behind that. I'm not hiding. You ruined my life. I closed my eyes. You changed mine first. She went silent. Then she said, Evan left. I paused. I'm sorry. No, you're not. I said, I'm sorry you're alone. She scoffed. You're enjoying this. I'm not, I replied. I'm detached. She whispered, I don't recognize you anymore. You never really did. She inhaled sharply. I need help. With what? Finding somewhere to stay. I leaned against the counter. You should ask Rachel. She won't answer. Tina? She blocked me. I stayed quiet. She whispered, please. I said, I can't be your safety net anymore. That's cruel. No, I said. That's boundaries. She started crying. I didn't think it would flip like this. That's because you thought you had all the power. She sniffed. I was scared. So was I said. You just didn't care. I ended the call. I sat down slowly and felt my hands shaking. Not from fear. From release. The next morning, Officer Blake called again. He said, we've closed the report. I asked, meaning? There was no evidence supporting her claims. Thank you, I said. You're clear, he replied. After the call, I laughed out loud. She really tried everything. Marcus came by later with a toolbox. What's that for? I asked. Curtains, he said. Privacy. As we worked, he said, you notice something? What? You're not tense anymore. I don't feel hunted, I said. He nodded. Power shifted. That afternoon, Caleb texted me. Her employer put her on leave. I stared at the message. Marcus asked, bad news? No, I said. Consequences. That night, Lena sent me a long message. I didn't read it all. I skimmed words like mistake, pressure, fear. I replied with one sentence. I hope you learn from this. She wrote back instantly. That's it? I typed. That's all I have left. The next day, I unpacked fully. I hung my jacket in the closet and said, this is the first place that hasn't judged me. Marcus laughed. I sat on the floor eating takeout and felt something settle inside me. Control. Not over her. Over myself. My phone buzzed again. Lena. I let it ring. Then it stopped. An hour later, Tina called. She's blaming everyone, Tina said. Of course she is. She said you changed. I smiled. I did. How? I stopped shrinking. That evening, I stood by the window and watched the city lights. I thought about how scared I was when my name vanished from the lease. How small I felt walking out with a backpack. I whispered, I thought power was loud. The room stayed quiet. I whispered again, turns out it's calm. My phone buzzed one last time that night. A text from Lena. I never thought you'd be the one who walked away. I stared at it for a long time. Then I replied. Neither did I. I put the phone face down and turned off the light. For the first time in months, I didn't feel like I was reacting to her choices. I felt like I was choosing my own direction. I lay on the floor, hands behind my head, and smiled faintly. She thought removing my name gave her control. But power doesn't belong to the person who erases. It belongs to the one who survives long enough to rewrite himself. I didn't expect to see her that day. I was standing in line at the coffee shop, staring at the menu like it held answers, when I heard my name. Hey. I turned slowly. Lena stood a few feet away, holding a cup with both hands like she needed it to stay upright. Her hair looked different. Pulled back. Tired. Her eyes didn't search the room anymore. They locked onto me like I was the only solid thing left. I said, hi. She swallowed. I didn't think you'd talk to me. I didn't think I'd see you. We stood there in silence. The barista called out an order. Someone brushed past us. Lena said, "You look better." I nodded. "I feel better." She forced a smile. "That's good." I gestured to an empty table. "You want to sit?" She hesitated, then nodded. We sat across from each other. No touching. No leaning in. Just space. She wrapped her fingers around the cup and said, "I lost my job." I didn't react. She glanced up. "You already know." "Yes." "They said they couldn't trust me anymore." I took a sip of my coffee. Trust is hard to rebuild. She laughed quietly. "You sound like a therapist." "No," I said. "I sound like someone who learned." She stared at the table. "I never thought it would end like this." I leaned back. "How did you think it would end?" She paused. "I thought you'd leave quietly." I nodded. "You planned for that." She flinched. "I thought you'd be sad," she continued. "Angry." "I thought you'd beg me to talk." I said, "And when I didn't?" Her voice dropped. I didn't know what to do. I studied her face. The confidence was gone. The control. She looked like someone who had run out of options. She said, "I really believed removing your name would protect me." I asked, "From what?" "From losing control," she admitted. I let the silence stretch. She added, "I didn't think you'd fight back." "I didn't," I said. She frowned. "Yes, you did." "No," I repeated. I stood still. She shook her head. "That's worse." I nodded. It was. She pressed her lips together. "You didn't yell. You didn't threaten. You didn't even insult me." "I didn't need to." She looked up, eyes glossy. "You just let me fall." I met her gaze. "You were already falling." She wiped at her eyes. I didn't realize how cruel it was until I was on the other side. I leaned forward slightly. "You erased me without asking." She whispered, "I know. You decided my future for me." "I know. You told people I was unstable." Her shoulders slumped. "I know." I exhaled slowly. "That's why this hurts." She nodded, tears slipping down her face. "I wasn't angry anymore," I continued. "I was disappointed." She whispered, "That hurts more." "Yes," I said. She took a shaky breath. "I thought power meant control." "And now?" She looked at me. "Now I see it meant responsibility." I nodded once. She said, "I'm sorry." I believed her. That didn't change anything. "I know," I said. She looked surprised. "That's it?" "That's it." "No forgiveness speech?" "No." She laughed weakly. "You really changed." "Yes." "Do you hate me?" I thought about it. Really thought. Then I shook my head. "No." "That's worse," she said again. I smiled faintly. She said, "I don't even know how to fix this." "You don't," I replied. She leaned back, defeated. "So this is it. This is it." She stared at the window. "I lost you." "Yes." "And I lost myself." "That part," I said gently, "is on you." She nodded slowly. We sat there until our cups were empty. No more accusations. No more defenses. Just truth sitting between us like something fragile. She stood first. "I guess I should go." "Yes." She hesitated. I really did love you. I looked up at her. I know. And I ruined it. Yes. She nodded, like she needed to hear it out loud. Then she turned and walked away. I watched her leave and felt something settle in my chest. Not sadness. Not anger. Closure. I finished my coffee and stood. Outside, the air felt lighter. I walked down the street and said to myself, she finally understands. Not because I explained. Because she lived it. I thought about the night my name disappeared from the lease. The shock. The humiliation. The fear. I whispered, that was the end of one version of me. I stopped at a crosswalk and smiled. And the beginning of another. For the first time, I didn't wonder what she was doing next. I knew what I was doing. Moving forward. I sat alone in my apartment and said, so this is it, out loud, just to hear my own voice fill the room. No echo. No tension. Just calm. I made coffee and leaned against the counter, watching steam rise. You survived, I told myself. You didn't disappear. I thought about the night my name vanished from the lease. How small I felt walking out with a backpack. How I kept thinking, this can't be happening. It did happen. And I was still here. My phone buzzed. Marcus, you good? I smiled and typed back, better than good. A few minutes later, Tina texted. She's moving back with her sister. I stared at the message. I didn't feel satisfaction. I didn't feel pity. I felt distance. I replied, I hope she heals. Marcus called right after. You sound different. How? Like someone who isn't waiting anymore. I'm not. He laughed. Proud of you. Thanks, I said. After the call, I sat on the couch and let memories come and go. Not fighting them. Not feeding them. Just letting them pass. I remembered who I was before her. How I laughed louder. Trusted faster. Gave without checking the cost. I whispered, I didn't protect myself back then. And then, I do now. That realization hit harder than any argument we ever had. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need apologies. I needed boundaries. My phone buzzed again. An unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. Hello? A woman said, this is Mrs. Donnelly. Yes, I replied. I just wanted to let you know the file is closed, she said. Everything has been resolved. Thank you, I said calmly. We regret how this was handled, she added. I appreciate you saying that. After the call, I stood by the window and looked out at the city. People walking. Cars moving. Lives continuing. Mine included. I said quietly, I thought justice had to be loud. The room stayed silent. I was wrong. Justice showed up in small ways. In paperwork. In consequences. In people seeing the truth without me screaming it. Most of all, justice showed up inside me. I no longer replayed conversations in my head. I no longer imagined what I should have said. I no longer wondered if I mattered. I knew I did. That night, I dreamed for the first time in weeks. Not about her. Not about the apartment. I dreamed about walking forward without looking back. In the morning, I woke up early and stretched. I smiled for no reason. I checked my phone. No missed calls. No messages from her. I whispered, good. Later, while folding laundry, I laughed and said, she really thought erasing my name would erase me. It didn't. It forced me to meet myself without distractions. Without excuses. Without shrinking to fit someone else's comfort. I thought about the man I was when I begged her to talk. When I apologized for things I didn't do. When I stayed quiet to keep peace. I shook my head. I don't blame him. He did the best he could with what he knew. But I wasn't him anymore. Marcus came by that evening with pizza. He looked around and said, "You made this place yours." "I did," I said. He handed me a slice. "So what now?" I shrugged. "I live." He laughed. "That's it?" "That's everything." We ate in comfortable silence. Before he left, he said, "You know she's going to regret this forever." "Maybe," I replied. And that's not my burden. After he left, I locked the door and leaned against it. I felt safe. Not because no one could hurt me, but because I trusted myself to survive if they tried. I sat on the floor and said, "You didn't win by destroying her." I paused. "You won by rebuilding yourself." That was the truth. She didn't know it when she removed my name from the lease, but she activated something she couldn't control. Not revenge. Not anger. Growth. She tried to take my foundation. Instead, she forced me to build my own. I lay back and stared at the ceiling, calm washing over me. I whispered one last time, "Sometimes karma doesn't come with fireworks." The room stayed quiet. Sometimes it comes with clarity. And in that clarity, I finally understood the ending. She didn't break me. She created the man who no longer needed her approval to stand tall.